Welcome back to GTD. Martinsville is done for the first time this year, and Denny Hamlin is back in Martinsville victory lane for the first time since 2015, and I think you could have fairly easily seen this coming. With the very soft tires, a track Denny Hamlin loves. We've seen him run well with this tire compound in the past. Super impressive run. Kind of spoiled the race for everyone else a little bit in the second half. Really ran away with it. So, first impressions from this race, go.
I don't know if I mentioned this on air or before we aired, but I really wanted to pick Hamlin for this race.
You did mention it. Yeah.
Okay, I just had not seen anything from this team. And they talked about that on the broadcast, how they took a completely different approach this weekend and tried something brand new. And it worked out for him. He dominated the race. I think there are a few other contenders, not a whole lot. I think Joey Logano and Chase Elliott were kind of, the top two. Bubba Wallace.
Bubba Wallace is very good.
Or kind of the contenders for Hamlin. But he was just so good once he got in that clean air and could just, manage his tires better than anybody and find any gap he wanted to and just extend it. But this is our first real short track of the year. So we're going to use, what we learned this weekend for a lot of our analysis and things throughout the year when we're going to other short tracks.
Yeah. I think what stood out to me as well is we talked at the very beginning of the year about, these guys were fast at Bowman Gray. Let's see how they do in the actual regular season. And most of those guys disappeared until this weekend. Yep. Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin back up front. So I think anytime from now on you see this soft tire and a short track, Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin are going to be the two guys that are really up there at the forefront. This is the best the 9 car has looked all year since Bowman Gray. Denny Hamlin obviously won the race. First win for Progressive as well on the 11 car.
On their second race.
Yeah, so, big deal for them. So Denny Hamlin, you could say, is in flow state.
Yeah, I like that. I didn't get it at first, but yeah, I do like that. I mentioned Joey Logano. I want to talk about his strategy because he kind of drove to the lead, or he started mid-pack, drove to the lead, and then opted when the caution came out, and I think they were going to with the 2 to go for the stage when we started.
Tried to flip the stage.
A lot of people went into the pits, to flip the stage. He stayed out for stage points.
Now, which I don't hate.
But Logano's kind of been dogged on all year for, he's great in the stages. Where is he at the end of the race? So I disagree. I would have liked to see him stay out and try to get the win. Race for the win. Don't race for the stage points.
I think at this point in the year, without the win, if you don't feel like you have winning speed every week, which I feel like Logano is one of the cars that does not right now, I'm taking the guaranteed points. Personally, at this point, I think that's a very Paul Wolfe thing to do.
It is. It's a very Logano thing to do, too.
So I don't hate it at all. Logano did get his first top 10 on the board, longest it's ever taken for a defending champion to get a top 10
But I think that proves my point that he should have known that he had a very good car because he drove through the field 3 times. Stage 1, stage 2 when he pitted in the stage.
Stage 3 is the longest. Just say you're going to drive through the field again.
I mean, he kind of did because he got dumped by Briscoe halfway through stage 3.
Yeah.
And then drove back up through the top 10.
I think that, too, is hurting the perception of the strategy a little bit because if he doesn't get dumped by Briscoe, where does he finish?
Yeah, there's a good chance he's
probably not 8th. Yeah. So I can't fault Paul Wolfe for that. I think taking the guaranteed points is absolutely fine. But how about Toyota in this race?
Yeah.
Toyota's, we've talked about a little bit, outside of Christopher Bell, they've really been struggling for a lot of the season so far. 1, 2, 3 for Toyota. Last year, this race was dominated by Hendrick Motorsports with the ruby red cars, and last fall it was Penske, Ryan Blaney. Today, it was those Toyotas. Yep. Denny Hamlin obviously brought it home in first. Christopher Bell found his way back into the top 10 after a couple rough weeks, finished second. Bubba Wallace continues what I said last week, and I continue to maintain, is the strongest season of his career up to this point.
I agree.
Back-to-back third-place finishes for Bubba Wallace, and frankly is outrunning Tyler Reddick and outclassing Tyler Reddick right now.
Yeah.
And he is only 5 points behind Tyler Reddick in the overall point standings, and you look at some of the finishes Wallace had in the first couple races with some DNFs and some bad luck compared to where Reddick was, especially Daytona. You look at that. Mm-hmm. There's a very real shot that Bubba Wallace jumps Tyler Reddick in points. I don't expect it to happen at Darlington because that's a race that Tyler Reddick really likes, and we'll talk about that in the episode later this week. But overall, very impressive Toyota. You had Chevrolet coming home 4th, 5th, and 6th with Elliott Larson and Chastain. Chastain right now, I don't think is getting enough credit for how well he's driving. Look at where the other 2 Trackhouse cars have been compared to Chastain. SVG is nowhere. And I don't know. this is something that Eric Estep said on Out of the Groove this week after Martinsville. The crew chief SVG has right now is the same guy that Zane Smith had for last year. And remember, they were awful the first half of that season, which is something I did not know. And it kind of makes a little more sense on why that car is absolutely nowhere. Because I think you and I both expected SVG to run better than 30s all day. I know we lost the wheel, but even before that was basically nowhere.
Yeah, I hope he can figure it out. Obviously, he's going to be good at road courses, but NASCAR is not just road courses. You're going to have to compete at ovals because that's what they race on.
NASCAR is famously not road courses.
Yeah, 95% of the time, you won't be turning right. So he's got to figure the ovals out. I don't know if it's strategy, equipment, the guy behind the wheel, but they've got to figure it out. Chase Briscoe, another guy at Martinsville who had back-to-back consecutive good weeks after a rough start to their season.
Was my
They're
pick
starting
to
to pick
win.
it up. But yeah, it looks like Toyota as a whole starting to pick it up. But I don't know how I went this long in the episode without talking about Denny Hamlin's burnout. Did you?
Oh my goodness, that was incredible.
Did you witness the burn? I thought he was going to do a whole lap.
I know.
And I think if he had a little more tire, he might have. Because he started on turn 1. Burned down all the way to the front stretch, making sure every single fan in attendance saw.
It was absolutely
got
incredible.
to the corner. I was like, oh, okay. I've seen this before. And then kept going. Just around, you know what? I got to get back there anyways. It's a short track. Might as well do it. My hope is, Denny Hamlin, listen and listen well. If you win Talladega, I need you to do the exact same thing, okay? Don't worry about the banking. Don't worry about that it's 40 miles long. I need you to burn out the entire track. Okay, thank you. Back to our regular scheduled program.
Yeah, good luck with that one.
Incredible burnout.
Yes.
Incredible. Just
best
incredible.
burnout of the year. Not
By
close.
far. By
Not close
far.
at all. Congratulations to Denny Hamlin on that. And another guy in the top 10 we need to give a shout out to. How about Todd Gilliland coming home 10th in this race? Very impressed with that. And then moving outside of the top 10, I think...
Can we say it? Ty Gibbs.
Yeah, that's the big storyline.
First top 15. Congratulations.
13th.
But
you did it.
It's bittersweet because now he is the longest tenured driver at JGR.
Without a win.
Second to only JJ Yeley.
Or ahead of JJ Yeley.
Yeah, and it's 80 starts. So
yeah, it's pretty rough. And honestly, today could have been better.
Yeah.
You look, it was running top 5 a lot of the early race, got spun by Tyler Reddick late, kind of left the door open, but at the end of the day, Reddick was just like, I'm going through, and then wrecked him. Basically, rough day for Reddick today.
Yeah.
Doesn't like Martinsville at all. But Ty Gibbs finally made the top 15, and you won't believe this, he's all the way up to a dizzying 31st in points.
You can only go up. I mean, you technically can go
Only
down,
3 points off of Brad Keselowski, who still remains in 30th. What is going on with the 6 car?
Yeah.
What is happening? Well, he finished 26th.
Darlington coming up, a track he's fantastic at. Well, hopefully he can get some momentum there.
Yeah, I feel really bad for Brad, but mentioning the standings right quick, let's check it out. At the top, it is still William Byron, despite his worst race of the year by far.
Yeah, and the worst-looking Hendrick driver at the track.
Yeah, really struggled at Martinsville. The Hendrick Brigade continues in second and third with Kyle Larson and now Chase Elliott up into third.
Yep.
Christopher Bell bounces back to fourth with 3 wins, really helping him out right now. Alex Bowman, rough day for Bowman. Had a fast car, was up towards the front, then had the loose wheel, I believe, that they had to come back down and tighten.
Y'all, if he had a better day, Hendrick's 1, 2, 3, 4 in points right now.
Yeah, if they remember to tighten the lug nut on Bowman's car, they are...
Yeah, and that's just crazy that Hendrick, Bowman and Elliott don't have a win, but they're up front week in and week out. And
well,
Bowman,
Elliott's 10th week in and week out.
Yeah, but consistent. And Bowman has competed way more. I mean, we saw this kind of happen in the playoffs last year, but he's competed way more than he has arguably ever in his career in a Hendrick car.
And then you look, the kind of manufacturer segmenting has been interesting to me so far this year, because if Alex Bowman had that better day, you swap him and Bell, it would then be 4 Toyotas in a row, because in 6th, 7th, and 8th, you have Hamlin, Reddick, and Wallace. Wallace now just 5 points behind Tyler Reddick. 23-11. Maybe it's just a curse of being not the fastest driver in 23-11, where you're required to be much slower than the other ones. You saw it with Wallace last year and Riley Herbst. People are debating whether or not he exists at the moment. Then the Fords, Logano, Ryan Blaney, and not Austin Cindric. It's Chris Buescher, the third Ford in a row there, because Austin Cindric does have the 50-point penalty from the Coda incident.
And
but
he did not
I
have a
believe
good day at Martinsville.
even without that 50-point penalty, Cindric would be sitting 12th in the points if that had not happened. So
He'd be right there with his Penske guys. But Chris Buescher, his first day where he didn't magically appear in the top 5.
What he did magically appear in was the wall and Noah Gragson.
Yeah, but he's still sitting pretty 11th in points. Behind him, you have Briscoe, Chastain, and Priest. Priest has been stringing together.
How about Ryan Priest?
Yeah, stringing together some good finishes.
That was a guy where a lot of people debated whether or not he deserved a ride at all after his time at SHR. And you look at what he's doing right now, arguably the best RFK driver at the moment.
Him and Buescher, and Buescher had a bad day yesterday.
I think if you're doing a power rankings right now, Priest is at the top, but I still think you'd put Buescher first.
Yeah, it depends
overall.
on.
Yeah, it depends on how you're ranking them.
Some people do power rankings throughout the whole season. Some do week in and week out.
Yeah.
But yeah, very very close. And then the guy who also drives for that team and owns the team,
30th.
Yeah.
Rip Brad.
But then Michael McDowell, 15th in points, which means he's in the playoffs. With Josh Berry's win.
And I feel like he has not done anything this year. He's just existed in 15th all year, which is really all you need to do at this point. Josh Berry is down to 19th because of the Penske battery issues. Actually, this is something I wanted to talk about. Penske reliability has been an issue.
Yes, Ryan Blaney's.
You have the two blown motors in the last 4 races for Ryan Blaney. Today it's batteries with Cindric and Josh Berry. They literally ran out of batteries.
Yeah.
At what point does this become more of a concern than just early season kinks?
I think now. I think if they roll into Darlington and the week after that, and there's an issue at all with Logano, Blaney, Cindric, Berry, anybody, I think you're going, okay, it's time to get in the garage, see what's going wrong, and rethink this whole type of thing because it's not. It's kind of like what we saw with JGR a little bit last year, and Ty Gibbs especially. And Ty Gibbs even had another problem. It's a cool suit problem, but still.
Literally.
Always an issue.
And Austin Cindric, you had the cool suit issue. Literally could not keep his cool and ran over Riley Herbst.
Yeah, well, a lot of people ran over Riley Herbst.
That was the most screen time Riley Herbst has had all
right
season.
By him.
That still, despite Riley Herbst being slower than a slow thing, as Martin Brundle would say, that is completely inexcusable from Austin Cindric. Yet again, just turn right into him. I don't see how that's okay. Then I do want to talk about the one Riley Herbst restart. I know he was on older tires, but he went from, I think it was 6th. It was either 6th or 8th, down to 32nd in 6 laps.
At Martinsville laps, mind you.
Yeah, that is almost impressive.
Yeah.
I know he got stuck in the outside line, but still, how?
Yeah, I don't.
Like, at what point is it Heim time? Because I think if not for Monster Energy, it's Heim time already.
Well, if it was Red Bull, if it was Red Bull, it would have been Heim last week, and it would have been Heim 2 weeks ago, and then a new guy this week if you're Red Bull. But they're not Red Bull, so I don't know. It was pretty abysmal, though.
Yeah, I think the sponsorship is doing heavy lifting for Herbst right now. Without that, because let's be honest, Corey Heim is the better driver. Yeah. I don't think it's particularly close. He's still tearing up the truck series right now. Beat Kyle Larson on pace at Homestead before his truck gave out.
I'd rather see Zilich. I know Zilich has the whole trackhouse thing, but I'd rather see Zilich in the seat.
I don't know. I think, honestly, at ovals, Corey Heim has proved a bit more than Connor Zilich so far.
Oh, 100%. No, I was just saying.
And I'm like the biggest Zilich fanboy ever. So for me to say that, I think Corey Heim is one of the top prospects in NASCAR right now that
can't catch a break.
Yeah. He can't catch a sponsor is his issue. He doesn't have the backing to get up there.
Start trash talking and dumping guys, Corey Heim. That's what the sport is teaching you, all right?
Yeah, if you watch the Xfinity race.
Yeah.
Also, shout out to Mike Joy for being an absolute savage
this
week.
That was so funny. He called it a dumpster fire, and I was like, oh! And then he goes, wait, it's not a dumpster fire.
A dumpster fire is contained.
Oh! Mike Joy with the burn. From the
going to wrap up the Martinsville Recap episode for this week. Predictions for Darlington will be out later this week, as well as whole opening weekend recap for baseball and the preview of the Japanese GP this weekend at Suzuka for Formula One. But for now, that's Keegan, I'm Micah, and we will see you later this week on GTD.